Hello and welcome back to the Brown Butter Sage channel. Today I want to pay tribute to the life of the wonderfully talented and effervescent Malcolm Jamal Warner. I have been struggling to make this video all week because he just was so special. Just watching clips from prior shows that he was on and listening to some of his spoken word again. It's been difficult to put this together, but obviously he deserves as many tributes as we can take. So I'm going to add mine to the collective, and I hope that we continue to uplift this man and his legacy. So this one's for you, Malcolm. Malcolm Jamal Warner was born in Jersey City, New Jersey on August 18th, 1970. He was named after Malcolm X and Ahmad Jamal, who is a jazz pianist. He was raised in Los Angeles from around the age of 5, and around 9 or 10, he started showing an interest in the entertainment business, and that led his parents to enroll him into some acting schools, and he later graduated from the Professional Children's School in New York City. Now, after a few appearances on TV shows like, Matt Houston, Call to Glory, and even Fame, he landed the most successful role that he would play, especially in his young career, Theodore Huxtable. Theodore Huxtable was the only son of Dr. Heathcliff Huxtable, who, of course, was famously portrayed by Bill Cosby on the NBC sitcom The Cosby Show, which ran from 1984 to 1992. To say that The Cosby Show was successful would not even be doing it justice. I mean, this show ran for 8 seasons, which may not even seem like a long time, but its impact is really eternal on our culture, and it cannot be denied. This is one of the first times we've ever seen, a Black family represented on television the way that The Cosby Show was. It kind of really defied certain stereotypes, about Black people, and just showed that we were not a monolith. Here was a very successful, affluent Black family growing up in Brooklyn, the kids being raised in Brooklyn, and being raised by, a doctor and a lawyer. And the issues that were presented were really centered around kind of just family and family ideologies. And it did not focus on any sort of like financial struggle or just struggle growing up in maybe challenging environments or challenging neighborhoods. And that's usually what we were used to seeing. And so you saw a lot of conversations within the sitcom about love and relationships, sibling dynamics, dynamics within relationships with friends. With Theo specifically, Theo tried to pierce his ear one time, and it, didn't go so well for him. And he always had a challenge. He always had a dirty room, and he always had challenges with his grades, from very early on. And that's significant because they did a show about dyslexia, and it was actually a really positive episode. And I remember watching this episode as a child, wondering, I had never really heard a lot about dyslexia, and my first kind of introduction to it was more of a positive nature. And I really think that also was a positive impact on culture and society as a whole, because of this show, and because of how much we related to Theo's character, how much we really adored Theo's character. We were able to see this learning disability through his lens, and that, I think, removed a lot of the stigma around it.
When is the first time that you heard someone mention the word dyslexia? Think back. I don't have to think back because I already know. It was on The Cosby Show in 1989. It was an episode called Theo's Gift. And Theo met with a counselor, and she said, you might have a problem. It's a learning disability. You just learn differently. And it was like, we need to find you help. And then he got tested. And after he got tested, he sat down with his parents. I have it. I have dyslexia. And they were all excited. And as an educator, I remember years later, when I was in college and I took the class child psychology, that's the next time I heard that word. And it never had a negative connotation in my mind, because they celebrated Theo having it, because once he was diagnosed with it, then they knew what they could do to help him. So many lessons that we can learn from that. One is how impactful Malcolm Jamal Warner was in his role. And we can allude that to the cultural attributions of his role. Also, how Hollywood can play a vital role in how we perceive different things throughout our world. I never had a negative connotation associated with dyslexia because the first time I heard it was on the Cosby Show. They found out how to help him, and he was on his way to being a better student.
And I can guarantee you that there are probably millions of people who feel the way that Miss James and I feel about that episode. And speaking of being a student, a good student, Theo got into NYU, which is a difficult school to get into. I should know. I worked there for a period of time in the early 2000s, and I can guarantee that not only was the school considered to be a dream school then, and it probably still is now, but even then in the early 2000s, there were so many people who were still applying and referencing the Cosby Show at that time. Like, that is just how much Theo's character was significant. And his going to NYU was a positive impact on higher education. I mean, during, around this time, we also had shows like A Different World, who were a very positive impact just in terms of HBCUs. And, for me growing up as a young Black girl, like, it made me want to go to college. But Theo going to NYU, really, I mean, they should have cut Malcolm Jamal a check, because you all have no idea how many people, again, referenced the Cosby Show still at that time, and just the positive impact that his character had on people wanting to go to college and specifically wanting to go to NYU. And ironically enough, this, Theo's graduation was the series finale for the Cosby Show. Now, one particular episode that had an impact on me that doesn't get mentioned a lot is season 4, episode 16, called The Visit, where one of Theo's friends, his high school friends, has cancer, and Theo really, really struggles to visit him for that reason.
Fine. Theo, are you feeling all right? Jill Troy has never looked fine a day in her life. Even when she had pneumonia, she looked unbelievable.
Hey, I'm sorry. I was just trying to make conversation.
Well, stop making conversation and talk to me. Pretend we're not in the hospital. Pretend we're hanging out at your house.
Okay. Today at school, we ran track. How come you weren't there?
Hey, man, I was in bed.
After school today, I went to the mall. Where'd you go?
Are you out of your mind?
Hey, man, you told me to pretend like we're not in the hospital room. How am I supposed to do that?
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay. So, how's it feel to have the big C?
The big C?
Yeah, how's your cancer?
Hey, man, can't you be more sensitive?
No.
Good, that's the old Theo. So what'd you bring me?
Now, while I would not necessarily call Theo's reaction sensitive, I do think this is probably how two high school boys would talk about cancer, and their friend being in the hospital. And I remember, again, as a kid watching this, thinking that I would feel extremely uncomfortable as well, and I would be so scared for my friend. So I really related to Theo in this moment. And obviously, since this moment, cancer has, it has really impacted a lot of people's lives. And I've lost loved ones to cancer, notably my sister. So when I even think back on this episode, it just still rings true, just, the uncomfortability that exists when you think that someone that you love is really facing, something that could be this fatal. So I really appreciate, I guess, the memory that this kind of implanted in me, just even at that time, because I have been able to recall this episode and just remember that even as I've had my own struggles with this disease, that it's like this little memory, this little chip was there, that it's okay to feel uncomfortable about that, and that's totally human. So I don't know, I just really appreciate the Cosby Show for little moments like these. And I know that we all have them that are like very specific to us and to our viewing experience. And before I move on to discuss the other elements of Malcolm Jamal Warner's career beyond the Cosby Show, I would be remiss if I did not include one of the funniest and one of the best scenes of sitcom television that exists. That no one won an Emmy for their performance of this show is absolutely criminal. But this scene right here shows just how much pretty much every character in the show was amazing. And Malcolm Jamal Warner's timing, his authenticity, his commitment to his character in this role. This is one of the most iconic moments of television history, period, bar none. Everybody remembers Gordon Gartrell.
Really great. That's nice.
Denise!
It's over, isn't it?
They're supposed to think as a Gordon Gartrell.
You don't like it?
Ask me the question again.
You don't like it?
I hate it. Look at it. Oh, it's the ugliest shirt I've ever seen.
It's not that bad, is it? It's better than I could do.
Look at these sleeves. My arms are the same length, wearing out my sleeves. This collar's all crazy and its inside is too big.
Well, maybe if you tucked it in a little more.
It's tucked into my socks. You are gonna pay for this.
Come on, it's the last time I'm ever making anything for you again!
Good!
I lose it when he says, ask me that question again. Like, I lose it. I can't even focus on the rest of the scene because whenever he says that, I pass out and then I just have to watch it over. This scene is like etched in everybody's memories, I think, to the end of time. And I think around 2010, The Cosby Show lost its syndication for the foreseeable future for reasons that we are all aware. And I don't want to bring that energy to this video because this is a tribute to Malcolm. But what I will say is that The Cosby Show itself really, really was extremely impactful on our culture, on our society, and it really did change the game. And watching these clips really brought back a lot of memories. And I do think that we have to publicly learn how to honor this show. I understand, you know, the circumstances that surround the show or that surround kind of hover over the memory of the show. And if you're someone who's been able to move past that, good for you. But a lot of people have not still. And I don't know, I hope that maybe a good part, something good to come, you know, in the aftermath of this is that people realize that there are legacies that are within this show that really do deserve to continue to be honored, and that the show itself really just is a standalone and a masterpiece, and that we should continue to celebrate the work and the artistry that so many people committed, because it was such a part of our lives, and we really were partially raised by this show. And I think that our children and generations beyond, they deserve to really truly understand the impact that it had on us, because there is something that is kind of feels like it's lost right now. And I'm not saying The Cosby Show is the way, but I do think that there is a missing piece, and that, again, we should honor the work that a lot of artists have put into this show, namely artists like Malcolm Jamal Warner. So thank you to everyone who contributed to The Cosby Show, because it really, really, truly did have an impact on my life. And even as, you know, again, circumstances loom, I still can say that because it is just a fact. And sometimes life is not, you know, black or white. Sometimes there's these nuances, but that's a truth. And that's a truth that I do think publicly that we should own more. Now, Malcolm went on from The Cosby Show to become a director. He became a producer. He started getting into spoken word. He started playing the bass. I mean, Malcolm's, you know, artistry really spans throughout several different mediums. And he really just was someone who was born to express himself, and he was quite good at it. Malcolm starred in other sitcoms and series television like Malcolm and Eddie with Eddie Griffin, Read Between the Lines with Tracy Ellis Ross, and more recently, The Resident, where he played A.J. Austin, who was a triple board certified surgeon. Many people enjoyed his work on this show, and you can actually stream all 6 seasons of it on Hulu. Malcolm also produced shows like The Magic School Bus, and he directed music videos like Any Heartbreak by New Edition. Look at this music video. Like, the 80s were absolutely a time, okay? Malcolm even directed one of the most memorable episodes of The Cosby Show, season 6, episode 23, Off to See the Wretched.
Didn't you go down there to Baltimore and have big fun, Vanessa? Tell me, didn't you go for big fun?
Mom.
Shut up! Don't you dare open your mouth when I'm asking you a question. Rudy, go to bed.
Child, to this day, if you could be a grown adult somewhere minding your own business but doing something that you have no business doing in the first place, and somebody will hear about it and go, oh, you were in Baltimore having big fun with the wretched. Like, you will never escape it. I mean, knowing that quote is probably a tell for your age at this point, but it doesn't matter because that episode was just so iconic. And so to know that he directed it is hilarious. And I don't know how much directing Malcolm Jamal had to do of Felicia Rashad in this scene, because to be honest, this is so black mom coded, it's not even funny. But I just cannot even imagine how much fun they had filming this episode. And it, like I said, it's a classic. And so this really is truly a testament to how talented this dude was, even while he was still on the show and still a very young artist, that he could direct such a memorable experience like this. I mean, Vanessa really goes all the way to Baltimore just for this concert, and it all ends up blowing up in her face. And if you have not seen this episode, you need to go hunt it down and you need to watch it right now because it's the best. Now, as I mentioned before, Malcolm had become a bassist and a wordsmith, and he performed in venues all over this country. Often in 2015, he won a Grammy for traditional R&B performance in collaboration with Layla Hathaway and Robert Glasper on one of Robert Glasper's albums on the song titled Jesus Children. And then later on in 2022, his spoken word album, Hiding in Plain View, was nominated for a Grammy Award. And this is the first time that the Grammys included this particular category in their lineup. Now, as I mentioned, Malcolm performed all over the country, but he would often take to social media to post some of his work as well. And let's have a listen at something that he did post and share with us.
I am tired of running for shade. And aren't you tired of being hustled and played? And aren't we all tired of crying about how hard it is to be black in America, even if it looks like we've got it made? But freedom has its limits, so here we are, tear-streaked and salt-stained faces. Traces of trauma and pain lace our DNA like our black pride is cut and laced with self-hate, and we still think it's dope. Just like the music we're programmed to celebrate. Can you tell me the fate of a people who consciously take the bait and embrace the very traits placed upon them by their captors, who by design are inclined to keep them believing they're second rate? I'll wait.
Now, I mean, obviously, The Cosby Show is what Malcolm will probably be most remembered for, because it just, again, extremely impactful on our culture. But he had become so much more than Theo Huxtable. He had expanded, his artistry, and just was a legit performer. And I think that it's a testament to his character, because while I did not know him personally, and millions of us did not, he did exude and just project a spirit, a certain wisdom about himself that you could tell was authentic. And I think that that's notable because a lot of people, especially child actors who kind of grow up and are very successful at a young age, they do struggle because Hollywood is hard. There's a lot of pressure on them. And so it basically just outlines the importance for for a family, and having reinforced and strong values set early on, and having people around you that really feed into you, that really care about you, and that are making sure that you understand that fame is one thing and success is one thing, but that living as a good person, as a principled person, is beyond that. And you could just tell that Malcolm really did have this. I'm not saying he was a perfect person. Again, I did not know him, but it just seemed like he understood that there was more to life than just having fame and success, and he led his life as if he truly understood that.
He was really a good kid. He listened. He was a good kid.
I've always had a really good foundation, which I think is what helped me during the Cosby years, when the job of living in the public eye.
Yeah.
Because we already had such a strong foundation.
Yeah.
I think there were life things that my mother was preparing me for.
On July 21st, 2025, we lost Malcolm Jamal Warner. He was swimming in Costa Rica, and he drowned in what was apparently a strong rip current. Hearing this news was devastating to the entire country, and by extension the world. I mean, it was truly as if we lost a family member. And I know that people say that sometimes, when celebrities pass, but this one felt so personal and so intimate. He was only 54, recently married, and has a young daughter still, and he's survived by them, along with a very loving family and just millions of fans everywhere. And my heart goes out to his family at this time, and to everyone who loved him and who was touched by his light. Of course, immediately after he passed and we learned of his passing, so many people all over took to tributes and to just expressing their shock over his passing, and then just the gratitude for how they knew him, how he came into each one of their lives. I personally shared several clips of his shows and just information about him online, and people were really it's interesting because people were comforted by all of the things that we were sharing about his work and his heart, his spirit, his passion, but at the same time completely devastated because we really did not expect to lose our dear brother this way. And I don't know what his family is planning for his celebration, and obviously whatever they plan for themselves should be private and should be respected. But I do hope that there is some public way that we can all kind of show maybe at once our gratitude for the light that he was. We've kind of already been doing that with our own tributes, but I don't know, maybe the family will direct us to do something like that publicly, if it's donating to a charity of his, or if it's, just some way to maybe honor him more formally. And I will continue to look to see if that becomes the case. It's also probably important for people to remind themselves at this time, just the importance of learning to swim in the ocean. I am terrified of the ocean, to be honest, and I am not a strong swimmer, so I kind of stick to the pool. I understand that the ocean is just kind of a different capacity, and you always want to just be aware of these things. I don't know that would have prevented anything in Malcolm's case, but I do think that making sure that we're kind of just sharing and educating each other and just reminding each other when accidental deaths like these happen, that we are making sure that everyone has, up-to-date information and is just kind of aware of, of certain details that can save your life in a moment, because life is just that precious.
For this, and to avoid this, what you need to do, instead of trying to swim straight back into the shore, you need to go parallel to the shore, swim to the side for some distance, and then go in. You need to get out of the rip current before trying to swim into the shore. Because if you're trying to swim in and you're in the rip current and you're trying to swim in, all of this water is going out. All of the water on either side is going in with the waves. But this rip current is pulling everything out into the ocean. You need to get out of it first. Before you try to get back to shore, get out of the rip current. Swim to one side or the other side and then go into the shore. Okay? Don't fight against it. I have seen so many videos of people drowning in rip currents, people trying to save people drowning in rip currents.
This is true, and rip currents are the source of a lot of accidental fatalities. And this is a tip that I actually had not heard. Again, I do not swim in the ocean, but that's no excuse, not to understand some of these things that are that are common and that can be avoided. The tip that I've always heard about a rip current is to try to float on your back and not to try to fight it. That's like usually should be the first response, but I had not heard about swimming parallel to the shore. So I just wanted to share that tip. Again, I don't know that it would have turned out differently for Malcolm. I know that a couple of people did into the water to try to help him that day. One was a doctor who spoke out a bit, and basically just it was confirmed also that this particular area, the Playa Grande in Costa Rica, that there were not lifeguards present because of a lack of resources apparently, and that the folks who were on the beach that day said that there weren't a lot of people there, and that the sea was angry. And honestly, to me, the ocean is always an angry place. It's beautiful, but it's very powerful, and things can happen in an instant. So again, just a tragic loss, and again, my heart goes out to his family. Malcolm Jamal was he was, again, a brother to us all. He felt like a family member. He felt like a friend. He felt like someone who understood life, who shared his wisdom, through his artistry, through his work and his passion. And I just hope that we never forget that, about him, and that when we remember him, instead of remembering the tragic way that we lost him, that we remember his light, and we are grateful for the time, the 50 plus years that we actually got to spend getting to feel the warmth from his light, and the way that he wanted the world to really truly be a better place, in just a very simple way. Again, not a perfect person. No one is perfect. But we can strive to be better. We can strive to always do better, and be our best, and try to make things around us the best. And I don't know, but for me, like right now, when I'm seeing so much about the world that I don't like, this is just kind of a reminder that you really can continue to be a good person, and to show up for the people that you care about, show up for the causes that you care about, and you can express yourself in fun and creative ways that compel people, ways that draw them in, ways that make them want to, maybe know more about you or more about themselves. You can provoke people, you can enlighten them, you can enrich their lives, even when people are seeing darkness all around them, or they're really truly struggling with a very hard personal time, that you can leave an impact and an imprint on someone's life that really does stay with them for a good portion of their lives. And that to me is like, that's the whole reason why we're here, is to, to really be great companions for each other, and to love each other with a little bit of time that we have. Because if nothing else, this just shows us just how precious life is, and how you just really truly never know when your moment, one moment is going to be your last. And so thank you so much, Malcolm Jamal Warner, for everything that you are, everything that you shared with us, everything that you try to inspire us to be. And I will always appreciate your light. You really truly were a beautiful human, and I am grateful that God allowed us to spend some time with you, brother. And I hope that you rest easy, you rest in power and peace and in poetry. And I'm going to let you have the last word. And you guys, thank you so much for listening to my tribute. Continue to pray for Malcolm's family, or send good vibes their way if that's what you do. And yeah, let's listen to Malcolm on our way out. And you all take good care of yourselves.
I will be able to leave this earth, knowing, and people knowing, that I was a good person. And I talked to my dad, I talked to him yesterday, and what he said to me often, people love you, and people are always talking about, your career and your success and all of that. He said, but what really makes me the most proud is that you are a good person.
Mm-hmm.
And they hit it from my dad. It's like,
That's wonderful.
But I'm a good person because my dad's a good person. That's a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
It is possible to walk through this world, and with all of the darkness in the world, it is possible to maintain your soul
Mm-hmm.
and be a good person.
It is.